Liam is back, and this time the story is not something that you can't imagine. I think my girlfriend summoned a demon. When I heard what happened to Emma, I couldn't get to her side fast enough. I know a lot of people stay away from her. She's always been a bit strange. That makes some people uncomfortable, but ever since we were kids, she's been my best friend. I love her more than anyone else. I remember when I got to the hospital. Emma was lying in bed. She was still pretty alert. Her spirits were surprisingly high, but her faint smile didn't reach her eyes. The doctors and nurses had left her alone in there. I'm sure I saw her smile widen just a bit when she saw me. She looked so small in that bed wrapped tightly in a blanket. Her dark, messy hair spilled everywhere, but her smile was still bright enough to light up the room. I hugged her as tightly as I could. "You're still okay, I'm so glad. I came as soon as I heard. Are you all right? I've been through a rough time," she said tiredly. "Sometimes I just want to sleep, but I'll be fine, I'm used to it. What happened? I heard you were attacked or something." She went quiet for a moment. I almost regretted asking. She seemed to be thinking about her answer before speaking. "I don't remember much," she finally said. "Genji and I were sitting in the library working on a project. Then suddenly someone appeared behind me. I didn't see them clearly. They just came out of nowhere. It happened so fast. The only thing I remember is being shoved hard into the wall. If no one had heard our cries for help, I don't know if I'd still be here." She stopped and shook her head. "What about Chelsea?" I asked. I knew her too. I hadn't heard anything about her. That made me pretty worried. Emma's eyes lost every trace of joy. The distance in them took a while to fade. Before she spoke, her silence told me everything I needed to know. "I'm so sorry," she said softly. "They told me Chelsea didn't make it. I know she was your friend too. Didn't make it. My God, has Genji caught the guy yet?" Emma shook her head slowly. "I don't know. I don't think he saw them clearly either. I don't know anything." I reached out to hold her hand. Emma didn't look at me. She just stayed silent, intense. "Can you do something for me?" she asked after a few seconds. "Anything. I have some stuff at my old apartment. Salt and candles. They wouldn't let me bring them here. The attack was pretty bad. I don't want to be alone at night for observation. I don't know if I'll feel safe. I know it doesn't seem important, but it'll make me feel better." "Salt and candles," I repeated before nodding. "Sure thing. I'll get them for you." I never believed in the things Emma believed in, but this wasn't the time to brush it off. If it made her feel better, I'd go along with it. She spoke again. "I'm reading a book with a leather cover. It's by my bed. Can you grab it too?" "Of course. Anything you want." She gave me the sweetest smile Emma could muster. If I said it didn't make my heart skip a beat, I'd be lying. "Thank you. You're the best." I took Emma's keys and headed to her apartment. I didn't have to search to find the things she asked for. I don't put much faith in her weird rituals, but I'd been part of them before. I knew where she kept the salt and candles. The book wasn't hard to find either. It stood out right away. Gold lettering on the cover caught my eye. I could read the title, Secrets of Gaim, 4th edition. Something about magic, I guess. Anyway, everyone has their hobbies. Emma's no different. I grabbed the book to take back. Looking back, I remember feeling a chill run through me the moment I touched it. Probably just my imagination. I gathered everything and headed back to the hospital. I figured Emma would light the candles and make a salt circle. I doubted the hospital staff would be thrilled about the mess and smoke. But if it made her happy and feel better, I'd do it. When I got back, Emma was ready. I set up everything as she asked. I placed the candles around her small room and lit them. She watched quietly. Then she bowed her head and mumbled something under her breath. The book I brought was on her lap. She didn't seem to notice me anymore. Not until I finished setting up the candles and salt. I could feel the tension in her shoulders ease. That alone was almost enough to make me happy. "I really appreciate this," she said, trying to smile weakly. "I'm glad to help," I said. "Anything you need." She thought for a moment before asking one more thing. "In that case, can you stay here overnight?" There was a chair by the bed, but no real place for me to sleep. Still, I couldn't say no to her. I know it's a lot to ask, but I'd feel safer with a friendly face here. She said awkwardly, "Sorry if you don't want to." No, it's fine. I can sleep in the chair," I said. "I'd be happy to do it. If I were in your shoes, I'd want someone by my side too." She let out a small sigh of relief. "Thank you. I feel silly asking this, but it'll make me feel safer. I hadn't noticed until then how tightly she was gripping my hand. It was a good feeling to see her smile, even if it was just a small smirk. The chair wasn't comfortable for sleeping, but I figured I could manage. I had a sweater to keep me warm. I found myself getting surprisingly sleepy. The hospital at night is strange. There's so much noise, yet it's eerily quiet at the same time. The night in the hospital feels like a space between dreams and reality. For Emma, I was glad to be there. She lay in bed. I didn't know if she was sleeping. A nurse stopped by a few times to check on her. The nurse was pretty nice. She stepped over the salt circle while checking Emma. She didn't say anything about the candles. She just smiled politely. I think that's all you can ask for. I lost track of how often she visited. Every half hour or so, I was focused on trying to sleep. I stopped noticing her. That might have been a mistake. I realized someone entered the room. I didn't bother opening my eyes. I was half asleep. I just assumed it was the nurse checking Emma's vitals. Sometimes it's not what you hear that bothers you, it's what you don't hear. The silence after the footsteps entered the room felt wrong. The steps sounded different to me. Maybe it was just the nurse doing something unusual before checking Emma's vitals. But I couldn't help opening my eyes to check. I didn't expect anyone to be there. Emma was sleeping soundly. There was no sign of the nurse. But someone was there. Someone was standing right at the edge of the salt circle, staring at Emma as she lay in bed. Even in the dim light of the room, I recognized her face. Chelsea. But she was more disheveled than I remembered. Her clothes were torn and dirty. Now I could see stains on them. I could make out her face clearly. She stared at Emma with a blank expression, quiet and still. She barely reacted when I called her name. Chelsea. Her head turned toward me. I felt a sharp pang in my stomach when I saw her face, or rather what was left of her face. My God, something had hit her hard. Her skin was peeling away. Chunks of flesh were torn from the right side of her face. Part of her eye socket was exposed. Blood soaked the torn fabric of her shirt. Her right eye was still wide open, bloodshot and drooping. It fell to the floor. There was a cold, twisted look in it that made me shiver. I'll always dread seeing her ruined face. There was no emotion left. Her face was like liquid, like it wasn't fully working anymore. I stumbled back, trying to get away from her. I'm surprised I didn't fall off the damn chair. Jesus Christ. I saw Emma sit up in bed. Her eyes were wide as she looked at the thing standing in front of her bed. Chelsea stared back at her, silent and menacing. I expected Emma to scream, but instead she just frowned. She locked eyes with Chelsea's corpse. Then she slowly got out of bed. I had a feeling you'd come back, she said softly. Chelsea didn't say anything. She just stared. It didn't seem to bother Emma at all. I'm ready for you, she said, pulling out the red leather book I'd brought from her apartment. A small smile crossed her lips, just in case. Seeing Chelsea's face for the first time made my stomach churn. Her lips pulled back like an animal's. Emma opened the book. You had your chance, but you wasted it. Did you really think I'd give you a second one? Chelsea still didn't respond, not even when Emma spoke again. She didn't move. As words came from Emma's mouth, I didn't recognize the language. I'd never heard her speak anything but English, but the words flowed from her mouth so naturally. Then she reached up and bit her own hand. I saw blood trickle down her pale skin. Next, Emma looked at Chelsea. She turned and started drawing some kind of symbol on the bed with her blood. When she finished the symbol, she drew it gently the whole time. Finally, she closed the book and spoke a final phrase. Honorable Lord Cold Kassad. Suddenly the room went dark, darker than it should have been. The light in the room dimmed unnaturally. Even then I could see the cold smile on Emma's face. Chelsea still stood there, staring like a broken machine. Emma looked almost expectant. As she stared, I realized we weren't the only three in the room anymore. There was something else now, something in the corner, something tall and dark. A shadowy figure with jagged horns piercing the wall behind it. Instantly, Emma knelt. The thing's presence was overwhelming. It bowed its head low, casting darkness. It looked at her, then at Chelsea, finally at me. Honorable Lord Luga, Emma said, I summon you to protect me. In exchange for destroying this enemy, I offer my humble and sincere soul. My soul. What had she done? She'd summoned something terrifying. That thing in the corner. Luga, she called it. It just stood there silently. Even without a face, I could feel its gaze on me. It didn't speak. It didn't confirm the deal. Nothing. Looking into the hollow eyes of the creature in the corner, I could feel its stare burning me. A deep, cold chill ran through me. Emma stayed silent. She was still kneeling. I just sat there like an idiot. The thing Luga turned back to Chelsea. As it did, I saw her face turn white as snow. Her skin seemed to gray. Her eyes widened. She let out a final gasp of surprise before collapsing to the ground. But her body didn't hit the floor. Her body seemed to crumble and vanish as it fell, until there was nothing left. My heart pounded in my chest. Emma raised her head, her mouth open wide. I grabbed her hand as she looked at the thing collapse. "Thank you, Honorable Lord Luga," she said. The dark figure didn't look at her, but I knew it was looking at me, even as it seemed to fade away, even as the light returned to the room. I still felt its gaze on me. Emma stayed silent for a moment. Even after the thing she'd summoned faded, she kept praying for a few minutes before daring to stand. "What did you do?" That was the only question I could ask. She looked at me. Her face was blank and troubled. "You'll thank me later for this," she answered. "People more important than you have pledged their souls to him for less. But I think my soul is worth a bit more. Something to get rid of a nuisance." "Emma, what did you do?" She smiled at me. "You'll find out soon enough," she said. Then she got back into bed. I didn't stay with her that night. I couldn't, not after what just happened. Since that day, everything's been quiet. I went to the doctor about the cold feeling I had. They couldn't explain it. There's no medical reason for what I went through. There's no medical reason for the nightmares I'm having either. Nightmares where I'm trapped in an endless deep forest. Nightmares where I see a dark shape with horns blending into the trees. I wake up at dawn only to find myself in a strange forest again. Trees surround me. They draw my attention. A foggy feeling swallows me from the forest. It keeps growing. I can't resist it. I don't control my fate anymore. Emma decided that for me. An indescribable feeling overwhelms me. It makes me unable to control myself. The nightmares come back every night. I'm trapped in an endless, deep forest. Nightmares where I see a dark figure with horns weaving into the trees. I don't think I can resist the call much longer. Emma changed everything. My girlfriend Emma. I thought she was my girlfriend. I thought so, but it doesn't matter what I think. In the end, I was wrong.